Today, we're recapping Squid Game, Seasons 1 and 2. Keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The story begins with hundreds of desperate players joining a mysterious contest. The games are based on childhood fun, but losing means death. At stake, a jaw-dropping 45.6 billion won prize. Gi-hun is broke and drowning in debt, estranged from his family and hunted by loan sharks. One day, a mysterious man invites him to play a game of Jung-jae for cash. Gi-hun agrees, only to wake up in a dorm with 455 strangers, all wearing green tracksuits marked with numbers. Masked guards in pink jumpsuits reveal the rules: 6 deadly games, 6 days, and billions of won in prize money. The competition is run by a masked figure called the Frontman. Gi-hun befriends an elderly man, player 001, and reconnects with a childhood friend, Sang-woo, along with a pickpocket, player 067. In the first game, red light, green light, panic spreads as players discover the cost of losing. Instant death. A massacre erupts, but with Sang-woo's quick thinking and player 199's help, Gi-hun barely survives. With over half the players wiped out in the first game, the survivors are shaken and demand to leave. Using a special rule in the game, they vote to end it and go home, though they leave empty-handed. Back in Seoul, Gi-hun tries to report the deadly games, but no one takes him seriously, except Detective Hwang Jun-ho, who's searching for his missing brother after finding a similar invitation. Soon, the players are invited back to the game. Desperation drives many to return, including Gi-hun, who needs money for his mom's surgery, Sang-woo, facing jail for fraud, and player 067, who dreams of reuniting her family. Player 001 returns, refusing to die alone, while player 199, a migrant worker cheated by his boss, and Jung-jae, a gangster on the run, also rejoin. Unbeknownst to the others, Detective Jun-ho secretly follows Gi-hun into the deadly competition. Jun-ho manages to sneak into the games by pretending to be one of the masked workers. It turns out the games are held on a secret island far from the outside world. The players, now more cautious and alert, begin to form alliances. Gi-hun, Sang-woo, player 001, and player 199 decide to stick together, while player 067 sneaks into an air vent and sees workers preparing pots of sugar. The second game, Popgi, challenges the players to carve a shape out of a delicate honeycomb candy without breaking it, all within 10 minutes. Sang-woo figures out the game in advance from player 067's discovery, but keeps it to himself and chooses the easiest shape. Gi-hun, not realizing the difficulty, picks an umbrella, the hardest shape. Using his wits, he licks the back of the candy to melt it and barely finishes in time. Player 212, a loud and tricky woman, smuggles a lighter to help Deoksu complete his candy. During the chaos, one desperate player takes a guard hostage and forces him to remove his mask. When he sees the guard is just a young man, the player loses hope and takes his own life. The frontman swiftly executes the unmasked guard for breaking the rules. The deadly games show no mercy, not even for their workers. Player 111, a doctor with a dark past, secretly helps some guards harvest organs from the dead players to sell on the black market. In exchange, they feed him clues about the upcoming games. Meanwhile, Deoksu kills another player over extra food, but the guards do nothing. Instead, the prize pool grows, and the players realize they can kill each other to increase the winnings. Deoksu and his gang start a brutal brawl during the night, plunging the dorm into chaos. Gi-hun's group barely survives, growing closer as they share their real names. Player 199 is Ali Abdul, player 067 is Kang Se-byuk, and player 001 struggles to remember his name because of a brain tumor. Player 212, Han Minyo, tries to stay safe by cozying up to Deoksu. For the third game, players are told to form teams of 10. Se-byuk brings in player 240, a girl around her age, while Deoksu picks only strong men after learning about the game from player 111. The game turns out to be tug-of-war on towering platforms. Losers fall to their deaths. Deoksu's team wins easily, but Gi-hun's team faces an all-male group and fights desperately to stay alive. Gi-hun's team barely survives their tug-of-war match, thanks to player 001's clever plan and Sang-woo's quick thinking. Knowing another nighttime riot might happen, they build a barricade and take turns standing guard. To their surprise, Deoksu's group doesn't attack. While resting, Gi-hun remembers a painful time in his past when he and his co-workers protested layoffs at a car factory. That event marked the start of his life falling apart. Meanwhile, player 240 tries to get close to Se-byuk, but Se-byuk keeps her guard up. Jun-ho discovers a horrifying secret. Some guards and player 111 are harvesting organs from dead players to sell. Jun-ho realizes the guard he's pretending to be was part of this operation. When the guards refuse to tell player 111 about the next game, tensions rise, and it all ends with the racketeers, including player 111, being killed. Jun-ho escapes unnoticed. The frontman begins a hunt for the intruder. Jun-ho sneaks into the frontman's office and uncovers shocking truths. The games have been running for over 30 years, and his missing brother, Hwang In-ho, won the 2015 games. The players find the bodies of player 111 and his secret allies, who were executed for breaking the rules. The masked guards promise that the games are fair and give everyone an equal chance to win. For the fourth game, players are told to pair up, thinking they'll work as teammates. But it's a trick. They must compete against their partner in a marble game of their choice. The goal is to collect all of their partner's marbles within 30 minutes to survive. Se-byok and player 240, Ji-young, share their painful life stories. Ji-young realizes Se-byok has more to live for and sacrifices herself so Se-byok can win. Sang-woo, on the other hand, lies to Ali and tricks him into giving up his marbles. Deok-soo easily defeats his henchman, player 278, without remorse. Gi-hun, desperate to survive, uses player 001's memory problems to win, but in a heartbreaking moment, he realizes the old man, whose name is Oh Il-nam, knew he was being tricked the whole time. Still, Il-nam lets Gi-hun win, calling him his ganbu, trusted friend. As the game ends, Gi-hun and Se-byok are left shattered by the loss of their friends. The weight of betrayal and sacrifice hangs heavy in the air. The players return to the dorm, surprised to find Minyo still alive. Since she didn't have a partner for the marble game, she was given a free pass to the next round. Meanwhile, a group of foreign VIPs arrives to watch the remaining games in person. They are wealthy gamblers who bet on the players like it's a sport. Jun-ho, still undercover as a masked worker, is approached by one of the VIPs. In a private room, Jun-ho overpowers the VIP, records his confession, and escapes the island. In the fifth game, the players face a terrifying challenge. Cross a long glass bridge where each step is a gamble. Some panels are tempered glass and strong enough to hold their weight, but others are regular glass and will shatter under pressure. One by one, players at the front of the line fall to their deaths as they guess wrong. Deok-soo, refusing to move forward, forces others to go ahead and test the panels. But Minyo, seeking revenge for his betrayal, grabs him and drags him down with her. Both plunge to their deaths. Player 017, an experienced glassworker, begins identifying the safe panels by sight, but the front man turns off the lights, taking away his advantage. With time running out, Sang-woo shows his true colors, pushing player 017 off the bridge to reveal the last safe panel. Only Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Se-byok make it across. But as the game ends, an explosion shatters the remaining panels, sending shards of glass flying and injuring all three survivors. As the final three players, Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Se-byok, are given fancy outfits and one last meal. Se-byok hides a deep stab wound she got from the exploding glass bridge, but the injury is clearly taking its toll. After dinner, each player is left with a steak knife, turning the tension even higher. Gi-hun, knowing Sang-woo will stop at nothing to win, suggests teaming up with Se-byok to take him down. Instead, Se-byok begs Gi-hun to promise that whoever survives will take care of the other's family. Later, Gi-hun considers killing Sang-woo while he sleeps, but Se-byok stops him, reminding him he's not a murderer. When her wound worsens, Gi-hun calls for help, hoping to save her life. While he's away, Sang-woo brutally kills Se-byok, and the guards show up only to take her body. Furious and heartbroken, Gi-hun tries to attack Sang-woo, but the guards step in to stop him. Meanwhile, Jun-ho manages to escape the island and reaches another shore, but his relief doesn't last long. The front man and his guards track him down. Jun-ho is shocked to learn that the front man is actually his brother, In-ho. In-ho tries to convince Jun-ho to join him, but Jun-ho refuses. With no other choice, In-ho shoots Jun-ho in the shoulder, causing him to fall off a cliff into the sea below. In the final game, the Squid Game, Gi-hun defeats Sang-woo in a tough fight, but refuses to kill him. Instead, Gi-hun begs Sang-woo to stop the game using the third rule, but Sang-woo chooses to stab himself and asks Gi-hun to take care of his mother before he dies. Afterward, Gi-hun is returned to Seoul with a bank card to access the prize money. However, when he gets home, he discovers that his mother has passed away. A year later, still dealing with the pain and feeling guilty about the money, Gi-hun receives an invitation to see Il-nam, his old friend. He finds Il-nam on his deathbed, where Il-nam explains that he created the game for rich, bored people like him. He chose childhood games because of the nostalgia they brought. Gi-hun also learns that Il-nam participated in the game with his group for the memories of his younger days. During their conversation, Il-nam bets with Gi-hun that a man lying unconscious on the street will be helped before midnight. Just in time, someone helps the man, and Il-nam dies shortly after. Gi-hun then decides to keep his promises. He goes to find Se-byok's brother and arranges for Sang-woo's mother to take care of him, giving them a part of the prize money. As he heads to the airport to reunite with his daughter in Los Angeles, Gi-hun spots the same recruiter from the game, playing Dokji with a new player. He takes the player's invitation card and calls the number on it. The frontman answers, ordering Gi-hun to board his flight. But instead of following the order, Gi-hun hangs up, leaves the airport, and heads back to the terminal. Seong Gi-hun leaves the airport, determined to find and face the frontman behind the deadly games. Realizing he's being watched, he takes off a tracking device that was secretly placed behind his ear. Meanwhile, Hwang Jun-ho, who fell off a cliff earlier, is still alive. After 2 years, Gi-hun is working with Kim, his old loan shark, and Kim's crew to track down the person who recruits people for the games in Seoul. Kim and his partner, Choi Woo-seok, eventually find the recruiter. They watch as he offers food to homeless people, but most choose a lottery ticket instead. When they reject the bread, the recruiter destroys it in front of them. The recruiter then kidnaps Kim and Woo-seok, forcing them into a deadly game of rock, paper, scissors mixed with Russian roulette. The game ends with Kim losing his life. Meanwhile, Jun-ho is investigating Gi-hun. He finds where Gi-hun is working from, and there, the recruiter faces Gi-hun. He reveals that he was once a soldier in the games and had to kill his own father, who was a player. He defends the cruelty of the games by saying the people who join are nothing but scum. He then challenges Gi-hun to a game of Russian roulette, which ends with the recruiter's own death. Gi-hun, Jun-ho, and Woo-seok find a clue in the recruiter's jacket that leads them to a Halloween party. Woo-seok gathers a team of mercenaries, and Gi-hun secretly implants a tracker in himself so they can track down the frontman. The three of them work together to make a plan to find him. At the same time, Gi-hun continues to take care of Sang-woo's mother in Seoul. He teams up with a broker to help reunite Seoul with his mother from North Korea. Gi-hun also makes a quiet phone call to his daughter, whom he has been distant from. The team sneaks into the Halloween party. At the party, Gi-hun is taken by a soldier in a pink uniform and driven in a limousine, while his team follows behind. Gi-hun uses a speaker to confront the frontman, demanding that the game stop. When other cars chasing them get shot at, Gi-hun changes his request, asking to return to the games as a player. In the midst of everything, Kang No-eul, a woman who escaped from North Korea and is trying to bring her daughter out of the country, enters the games as a soldier. Gi-hun wakes up in the game's dormitory with 455 other players. A manager announces a new rule. After each game, the players will vote, and if the majority agrees to leave the games, the prize money will be shared among them. Jun-ho and his team lose track of the island because Gi-hun's tracker has been removed. Gi-hun recognizes player 390 as his friend Jung-jae and advises him to stay close. The first game is red light, green light. Gi-hun warns the players that being eliminated will result in death, but many dismiss his warning. Despite the chaos, Gi-hun's advice helps save some players. Player 230, who is a rapper named Thanos, is high on drugs and pushes others to eliminate players. Gi-hun and player 120, named Hyunju, try to save an eliminated player who was only shot non-fatally, but No-eul shoots the player dead. After the game, Gi-hun urges the players to vote to end the games and reveals he was the sole winner of a past iteration. Players voting to continue are marked with an O, and those voting to leave are marked with an X. The front man, disguised as player 001, casts the deciding vote to continue. Player 001 pretends to form an alliance with Gi-hun and makes up a story, which is partly true, about why he joined the game. Player 333, named Myung-gi, is attacked by Thanos, and player 124, named Nam-gyu. Player 001 steps in and stops the fight easily. Player 222, named Kim Jun-hee, who is Myung-gi's pregnant ex-girlfriend, reveals herself to him. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers, led by the officer, begins harvesting organs to sell on the black market. The officer tells No-eul to ignore these actions, but she refuses to comply. Jun-ho tries to get help from the police, but his efforts fail. To Gi-hun's surprise, the second game requires players to form teams of 5 for a 6-legged pentathlon, which includes 5 children's games: Dokji, Biseokchigi, Gongi, Jegi, and Spinning Top. The players must finish these games within a 5-minute time limit. No-eul keeps sabotaging the soldiers' organ trade by shooting eliminated players who are still alive. After Hyunju's team wins by helping each other, many other teams get inspired and succeed too. Gi-hun teams up with Jung-jae, Jun-hee, and players 001 and 388, Kang Dae-ho. They manage to succeed and exchange names after the game, but player 001 lies and says his name is Oh Jung-il. No-eul gets attacked by 2 soldiers involved in the organ trade. They warn her to stop interfering with their plans. During the next vote, player 001 encourages everyone to vote against continuing the game, but most players choose to keep playing, thinking the prize money is still too small. Gi-hun talks to Jung-jae about his growing doubts about saving everyone. Meanwhile, Jun-ho and Woo-seok, who now have a bigger team of mercenaries, keep searching for the island. The third game, called Mingle, has the players enter rooms after they form groups based on a number that is announced. During the game Mingle, players struggle to fit their alliances into rooms, causing fights, betrayals, and even deaths among friends. In the final round, Jung-jae watches as player 001 kills another player to get a room for themselves. After the game, Gi-hun and player 001 argue about whether they should try to get others to vote to stop the games. They finally decide not to do it because they don't want to fight. During the vote, several players, including player 125, who has been following Thanos and Nam-gyu, change their votes to X. Once again, Player 001 casts the deciding vote, and it ends in a tie. The players are given another day to think before they vote again. In the bathroom, Thanos and Namgyu pressure player 125, named Min-soo, to change his vote to O, but Myung-gi and other players who voted X step in to help him. A fight breaks out, and Thanos strangles Myung-gi, who manages to fatally stab Thanos with a fork. Meanwhile, Jun-ho's team finds what they think is an entrance on an island, but when they check, they find out it's just a trap filled with explosives, and one of the mercenaries is killed. Captain Park, who was part of Jun-ho's team, is revealed to be a double agent. He secretly sabotaged their drone, causing more problems for the group. After the fight in the bathroom, the players realize they can kill others to increase the prize pool and weaken the people who want to leave the games. Gi-hun talks to a small group of ex-players, convincing them not to attack others, saying that the real enemies are the ones who created the games. During a brutal massacre in the dorms, Gi-hun's group stays hidden, while most of the ex-players are heavily hurt or killed. They only come out when the soldiers arrive. Gi-hun's group tricks the soldiers, killing almost all of them and taking their guns. They start a rebellion and force the last soldier to lead them to the control room, but as they try to move forward, more soldiers show up and start shooting, causing the rebellion to slow down. The group runs out of ammo, and Daeho, who was sent to get more, has a panic attack and can't return. Player 001 betrays the group, killing 2 players and pretending to be dead. Meanwhile, the other players who surrender are executed. Gi-hun and Jung-jae are captured. In-ho, who is now wearing the frontman mask, kills Jung-jae right in front of a shocked Gi-hun. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop your movie suggestions in the comments. We want to know what you'd like to see next. Stay tuned for more awesome recaps, including Season 3 of this series. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.